It's a Thanksgiving edition of Footy Prime. I hope everyone has their casseroles, their turkey, and their pumpkin pies all ready to go. I'll be eating out of a dumpster. You gonna eat that?
Do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving on the Monday or Sunday? I'm just kind of curious, what is the go-to day? I had turkey yesterday at a friend's last night, the Sunday, which I like because it gives you the Monday kind of off,
Yeah.
even though I'm not off today, but right? When do you guys generally celebrate? Do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Is it a celebration? What do you call it?
Yeah.
I don't
Do you
know.
honor it? Do you feel guilty? I don't know. What is it?
I don't know, but it all depends on whether I get an invite on a Sunday or Monday.
Craig's not hosting.
No. But as far as that's concerned, Forrest makes a good point. And I think you do celebrate Thanksgiving. It's a time to give thanks, but it's also an occasion to get together with family. I love Thanksgiving. And for us, it's the Walsh family getting together and the O'Connor family getting together. And so it's usually a Sunday and a Monday, or like JP and I in the past, before kids, like on a Thanksgiving or also Christmas, sometimes we were doing like proper dinners or suppers like twice in the one day. And we were like getting ready for it, wearing the elastic waistband pants, like showing up, and it was glorious. And so those days are kind of gone, but now it's just whenever everybody's available. So we're doing the Walsh family Thanksgiving today at my sister Bonnie's.
Okay. Now, Craig, you're at Wonger's. Is Wonger pulling out all the stops and preparing a feast for you later on?
I don't smell anything yet, but I'm hoping he throws in a turkey.
And that's not turkey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me rephrase that. I do smell things.
And when Wonger says throwing the turkey in, he's like throwing in the turkey. That's the difference, unfortunately.
Wonger, close the door.
I can just picture Wonger in the kitchen though with his little, apron on. Yeah.
Naked chef.
Nothing else. Just this 57-year-old ass poking out the back.
And the pinky. Like
stirring the gravy.
What's on that pinky?
Yeah.
It's not pumpkin pie.
JC, you got family over, right?
Yeah, we do. We go down to the local Subway there, get a couple of footlongs, turkey, of course, and then we carve them up. And we actually cooked chicken, and a big ass ham, and then all the trimmings. And then I made a soup last night, and then I got there was no room in the fridge, so I just left it out overnight. And it's garbage.
No one really has soup nowadays, do they?
I did do that, yeah.
That's fine. You know what? Food health and food safety is all overrated.
Sure.
I'm joking. I just took a course. No, I just took
Sharman's proper pies.
I took a pretty intense course, as you know, recently in that, and now I'm so paranoid. I knew the basics already, but this takes it to a new level, and I'm so paranoid now about my home kitchen. The pie kitchen is obviously top notch because everything's made like in 4 degrees and under, aside from the actual cooking itself. But my home kitchen, I'm just botulism, microfilms, all this stuff just lurking there, preparing to kill us. I'm so paranoid about it. So if you're in the food business and you don't have to take a food safety course, don't do it because it kind of ruins everything.
No. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Turkey, poultry, watch out. It's not your friend. Okay? Anyway,
celebrate salmonella on this Thanksgiving Monday.
Yes. Salmonella. Sounds like a 1930s right back. Salmonella. Trotting out for Preston North End. Anyway. Hey, listen. There was a game on Friday. They lost. Although, as I'm sure you all have watched it and know, they actually had their moments. They could have scored, didn't score. Finishing was a big issue there, but they were up against a pretty good Aussie team, despite what people on social media were expecting. Don't know why, 25th in the world, unbeaten in 12 games, pretty decent. Up against Colombia now on Tuesday in the States. And if you're worried about Australia, Dubs, I think we should be extremely concerned about Colombia, just considering what they just did to our arch rivals, Mexico.
Correct. Absolutely dispatched them. Maybe humiliated, too strong of a word, but 4-0. That's a pretty convincing victory there. I mean, that's almost route territory. So I've just seen the highlights. I didn't watch the game itself, so I don't know like the full context of it, but the opportunities that were given to them, they took them, and they obviously have the quality and the players that maybe you didn't have versus Australia. And I don't think that's being disparaging to them, but it's going to be a completely different match. But I think that, you know, looking at Jesse Marsh's comments about that match at Stade Saputo, which a great atmosphere, by the way. I was there with Jack and got to sit in the alumni section and see a lot of people that I haven't seen because I actually haven't been to Stade Saputo this season. Like CF Montreal's disappointing season has something to do with that, but been busy with NSL. But it was great to see Montreal welcome the national team that way, because it had been 8 years since the team had been there. And then obviously whispers of maybe a preparatory World Cup match being back in Montreal next year, which would be great. So good atmosphere. I thought that, you know, I liked the lineup. I liked the way they came out. I liked the pitch balance. I liked the way that you had like a mazier, kind of craftier Ali Ahmed on the left. And you had a very direct, aggressive Tejan on the right, who obviously was that attacking outlet and was very effective in that first half. You saw some pushback from Australia, I think, at the beginning of the second, but I think overwhelmingly, and going back to what I said about Marsh, is that I think he thought his team did enough to get the win. So it's disappointing to lose 1-0, because I think you're at a point now where Canada, you can expect to win, even though Australia was very good. They were belligerent, they were disciplined, they sat in their shape, they made it difficult for Canada. But we created enough grade A chances in order to win that match. And we just were not ruthless enough when it was required. So I think that's what you take away from that. And then how Canada is going to set up. I don't know if you go back with Laren. I actually don't think that you do. Do you need somebody else in that midfield? And then who's going to be next to Eustachio? Because you have to imagine with him not getting on, that he's going to start versus Colombia. I think we need him to start. But if you look at our depth, as far as that midfield is concerned, I thought Kone was very bright, especially in the first half, a little bit sloppier, less disciplined in the second half. And I also liked, like, going back to what I was talking about, and I'll finish up here before I pass along to Forrest and his impressions, the way that Marsh substituted. I maybe would have gone to the bench a little bit earlier, but I think you got that directness again from Schaffelberg, where he's predictable, but I think he's very effective and productive. And I think that he understands, and his teammates have an understanding of how to play him in. And that opportunity that he got, that was born out of the combination play on the right between Promise David and Liam Miller. Again, you get like that slightly different player who's going to come inside, is technical, likes to have the ball in his foot to create a little bit more. You have that kind of timing that's a little bit different that can throw the defense off. And I think that all of those things came together and should have produced the equalizer. It's a good save by the goalkeeper, Forrest, but I think that is an occasion that Schaffelberg absolutely has to bury.
Yeah, he skinned that right back. Right as soon as he had the chance, right back's like, oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, but like the movement from him in order to just get to the ball was brilliant, was it not?
It was. Yeah, he's really sharp, and he just, one split second, he just, on the blind side of the defender, just cuts in. Great chance. And the goalkeeper was magnificent on the night. Like, he really played well, made a whole bunch of really good saves, stood up really well, made himself big. But you're right, the chances were there. And if you're going to have a game like this, make sure it's a friendly where you're going to miss all those chances. But overall, they had enough chances to win 3 or 4 games.
As far as takeaways from that match, looking to Colombia, I think that left-hand side might be the biggest takeaway at this point, as to I'm more confused now than ever about what that might look like. Like you mentioned, Ali Ahmed has earned the right to call that spot his in the moment, I think, but Schaffelberg does provide that more direct running, perhaps. But then you got Liam Miller just getting back to health now as well. Who knows what he'll be like by the time the World Cup comes around. And then we got, of course, the Fonzie question. Does he get pushed up the pitch further? Which means all those other conversations are kind of moot, Craig, because Fonzie's not going to be on a bench player at the World Cup. Whether he's at left back or at left wing, he's starting, assuming he's healthy. So I don't know. Someone mentioned to me on social media that everyone loves Richard Larea, but they're saying he's becoming a bit of a distraction, and he can actually hurt you with his antics. Now, Dubs, I'm with you. I'm shaking my head here as well. I think he's provided so much. But Craig, I mean, should we cement Richie into this starting 11 on the left-hand side? And where does he fit if not there? It's a big jumble right now on that left-hand side, it seems, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
A good thing. Yeah, lots of options there, whether you push Fonzie up further up or you play him where he's comfortable as a left back and just defend, get forward on opportunities when you can. But Schaffelberg's excellent on that side. Richie, we know what he can do. I wouldn't be worried about Richie. There was a time I'd be worried about Richie, getting involved with antics, but he's so clever with it that I don't think it's a problem.
Controlled aggression, is that the way to call it? But he's really walking that line, though.
He walks the line, but it's usually he's pushing the other player that he's up against to the edge, where they're also in a position where they could do something silly. He's more likely to do that.
Dubsy, let me ask you this. So I think we can all agree that well, of course we can. Fonzie is the best left back in this squad. Okay, you play for Bayern Munich, you're the best left back in this squad. As far as a left winger, from what we've seen him play there before for Canada. Is he better than an Ali Ahmed or a Jacob Schaffelberg, players that are have played their entire careers in those positions? Is his name value stronger, perhaps, than it deserves in that position?
It's more than just his name value. It's just you look at his out and out quality and what he is as a player, whether he's playing a wing back position, whether he's playing a true left back position or a winger, he's going to start, right? So I think it's more than just the name and more than just the fact that he's the captain. But I think you do have to look at what you have in terms of your depth. You have some choices now, looking at the directness of a Schaffelberg versus what Ali Ahmed gives you, and his stock is rising, in my opinion, because it's also not only what he gives you in open play, but it's everything that he brings to you on the dead balls. Like Ahmed I thought that was a quality, that was an aspect of our game that has that renewed threat and that bite to it that we had only previously via the boot of Chouanier, who came on as a sub, and to great ovation, by the way, and respect and recognition from the home crowd at Stade Saputo, which was really lovely to see. But I think it's important to remember, and you bring it up with that Davies point, but it's a backline versus a team like Australia that I think can't be underestimated. And I think you have to give credit where credit is due, because they were more threatening at the beginning of that second half. And I think through some changes, there were some gaps and there were some frailties in our backline. But this is Canada doing this in a varied way, in a different way, through substitutions, but in a backline that's missing 3 of their 4 starters, right? Without Davies, without Bambita, without Alistair Johnston. So it's testing that depth and asking players to rise to the occasion. And I think you saw 3 players on the goal that we conceded, a lack of pressure by Waterman, de Fougerolles, who potentially should have been a little bit deeper to even stop that from coming across the face of goal, the lack of communication, and Forrest, maybe you can speak to this, from Max to let Sigur know he should have been aware of the player on his shoulder, but to give him a shout to remind him. And then Sigur taking that touch when that ball should have ended up in the stands. So like
I would have thought that Max would have shouted away at that point. As soon as it got to him. And I think he just thought he could shield it enough to where he could actually clear it or put it out to touch. But yeah, he got caught really in possession, and well played from Australia. But yeah, you don't want to be doing that, especially when you can't put the ball in the net.
Yeah. And just to finish up my point about the depth, the different profiles that we have, it enables Jesse Marsh to make those tactical tweaks, those adjustments, and the changes in the personnel, even though the foundation of the way that we want to play is going to remain the same. You can have different looks by going to different guys. And maybe it's not like Alphonso Davies needs to be a left back. That's where he needs to be. He needs to have that runway, and then he's maybe going to cut inside, and you get the width from the winger, like we've seen in the past, how well he combines with the Liam Mueller. I think that's something that gives Mueller the edge as he returns to form and he looks to find his rhythm and his fitness again as he kind of rejoins the team after 11 months or almost a year away. But I mean, that is a really good thing. There's going to be some growing pains, but like the fact that you can shake things up based on your personnel because you have those varied profiles in your squad is a really exciting thing. And yeah, it sucks to have lost, and we should expect to win. but I think we're building towards something, and that's important too.
Mm-hmm. My only criticism about what Fonzie pushed up further is we've seen him in that position where he almost tries too much.
Yeah.
And we don't see that from Ali Ahmed as much. So that's something to think about, I'm sure, for Jesse.
Yeah. Pot 1, which is where Canada will be in the draw, we'll put them with. I mean, listen, there's going to be some very strong pot 2 teams, but you're going to be against teams, as I think Stevie Caldwell mentioned in the broadcast. You're going to be against teams that are going to sit deep, right, in that low block, like Canada faced against Australia. And then how do you unlock that? And quite honestly, Canada hasn't got that player because there aren't that many number 10s per se in world football actually that can do the job at a high level. It seems that's a position that is there's a lack of quality for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it's a problem, right? Certainly, we saw John David playing deeper. He can play that role perhaps and have a Tanny or a Promise a little bit further forward. But is that a concern, Craig? Do you think, considering the teams that Canada's going to face, how do you unlock them? Because as much as the attack now is a million times better than it's been perhaps ever, it's still not ruthless, as Dubs had mentioned.
Well, it wasn't against Australia, but they did create chances where you give them those chances again. They do it against Colombia, they're going to score 2 or 3, in my opinion. But there is a concern that if Jonathan David, for my money, if he's not playing with confidence, banging goals in, I'm not sure where the goals are going to come from. And teams are going to look at that and let's like shut him out, and then we'll take our chances with the other players that they have, that they won't finish at the same level that he does.
I think that we have. Sorry, Sharms. I think that we have improved playing against a low block. I think we've looked better. I think our speed of play, the way that we're connecting, the way that we're moving the ball can get more dynamic. Can have a higher pace, and we have to vary and change the speed. And it's maybe via a player that you're talking about that maybe we don't have. But is it using John David maybe as that 9? Say like you don't start with a Kyle Aaron, you put John David a little bit higher up, and you. I mean, we had Saliba and Kone in there, but what about Kone as that player who's almost like in that 10 and operating in that pocket? And then you bring like a Chouanier on, like thinking about how we set up against Australia, or like looking forward to the game against Colombia tomorrow, is you put a Saliba next to, say, Eustachio, and you try Kone a little bit higher up, and you start with a John David as that number 9. I mean, I'm not the first to suggest this, but it might be useful for Canada in this time now where like we have talked about the argument that it's time to stop experimenting. Like you have to start solidifying and cementing things. But I think that you maybe try John David there. And I also think that Promise David does enough to change the game as he comes on as a substitute to maybe merit a start himself.
Yeah,
I think I heard Jordan Wilson talk about that post game. And I would agree with Jordan. I think that he played very well. And then it's maybe, does he have the engine? Does he have the tactical acumen still to kind of slot into Jesse Marsh's system and to play it for 90 minutes? I don't think he does, but can you start him and give him an hour and see what he can do for you? I think that's an argument. I think I'd like to see Promise David for a more prolonged time on the pitch. I
thought Tanny looked pretty good as well, though.
Yeah.
Right? And with that relationship with Tejan from Villarreal, that is something to think about as well. If Tajan's whipping balls into the box and he's doing it every week, every day at training to Tanny, Craig, at Villarreal, it's something to think about, right? I think, honestly, the biggest loser, per se, it's one game. He's still got plenty of time to fix things, but the guy that saw his stock drop the most was probably Kyle. Right, given his performance in the match and how both Tanny and Promise showed something else alongside John when they came on.
I would agree with that. And then something else to think about, certainly against Colombia, a different profile team, going to be more on the front foot, scored 13 goals in their last 3 games. Can we start to defend from the front and save some pressure on the back? But it's going to be a team performance defensively as well as trying to get those opportunities going forward. So I do like the game coming up against Colombia.
They match up very well. Is that what you want to say? That they match up well against Colombia. Ooh.
Yeah, but like we were talking about, I'm not sure at the World Cup. Certainly against 2 of the 4 teams in the group, whoever that will be. I think they will be sitting in a low block. So I don't think Colombia is going to play that like that tomorrow.
Smart teams figure things out, right? Like I remember I mentioned that on the pod a couple of weeks ago now. I was speaking to someone at Canada Soccer who was at that Belgium game, actually the Croatia game, sorry, at the World Cup. And Canada started so well in that match. And one of the Croatian executives just turned around and said, "Don't worry, we figured it out." And then boom, 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 boom. Modric got on the ball. Everything changed suddenly, right? But maybe they've matured since then. You know, perhaps we don't know yet whether it's a 26 or 23 man squad yet, do we? It hasn't been confirmed yet. I thought it's 23. That was being discussed, but now I'm hearing it's going to 26. So it should be 26, I think, given the amount of football these guys are playing these days. But that could change a lot with the selections. Craig, any takeaways that you have aside from what we discussed from Friday looking to Tuesday?
No, just the fact that, like I said, just who's going to score those goals other than Jonathan David if he's cooled off? We can't afford that. I don't think we can afford him not to be at his very best come next summer.
One takeaway is just, and this I put this on Twitter. The crazies, the maniacs are coming out in force now, which means that something's tipped. You know, more people are talking about this and discovering football, because a lot of people are clearly new to the game and don't really know the game and coming up with some stupid comments. Great. More people are watching. Great.
Sharms, based on that comment, people are going to extract that from this podcast and come at you in the comments.
I know. Of course they are. I welcome them. Come along. Yeah. Listen, we need more fans and new fans who can learn through such great analysis that the likes of Amy Walsh and Craig Forrest can give them. Not
what
me.
What did the Prime Minister think of it? That's what I want to know.
He had me a good time, wasn't he? Great time in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Him and Gianni Infantino.
Yeah, and I have to tell a story. So, like, I was in on my press pass, and I got Jack one as well. And so we came in early and said hello to a lot of people and got settled in. And as I mentioned, I was sitting in the alumni section. So players that I grew up idolizing from Quebec who played in the women's national team, like Luce Mongrain and Connie Kent, and then John Limniatis was in there, and like a bunch of people that I knew there. Yeah, so great. Giant heed, though, in the way when we were attacking in the first half. It's like, down in front, Limo, come on. Giant head on the guy, but love him. But obviously, based on Stade Saputo, and I know the lay of the land there, I knew exactly where Infantino and Carney were going to be, like in a loge. Like, that's kind of, if you're watching the game on that north side where the press gallery is, it would be all the way down to the right. And that's where they ended up, in that box there. And so going up, and we would like use the press kind of room, and Jack ate the shit out of the press buffet at the beginning of the game, which was great. And then at the end of the game, like chatting with some people, and then we left, and I was like, I'm going to deke into the washroom. So I come out of the washroom like 3 minutes later, and then I almost run in, like make a right turn, as you have to go right to get out on the north side where the press comes in. And sure enough, is my son Jack, 15-year-old Jack, deep in conversation with our prime minister. And I was like,
no way, really
happening here? And like, I am not the parent who's going to be like, oh, would you mind if I got a picture? But it's Jack that was like, I am really not.
Picture, I thought it was you that definitely instigated that.
It was Jack having a conversation with Mark Carney, and then Jack turned to me, said, Mom, would you mind taking a picture? And then Mark Carney he leaned over to me and introduced himself, and he said, I'm sure you're much more than just the photographer. And I said, you are correct. I am also the mom. And then he got in there with Jack.
Nice line,
right?
Mark.
You're like, who are you again? Sorry.
That's right. I'm like pointing to my name tag.
Yeah, you're wearing your shirt.
No, I was talking about Carney.
Oh, yeah.
Who's this middle-aged man who looks quite esteemed? Yeah. So how was it? So obviously he's a politician, right? He's going to say all the right things, but what was the vibe? Decency or sliminess?
No, very decent, very friendly, very down to earth. And then he made his way down, and I thought they were kind of leaving before the throngs of fans were going to be leaving. But then, of course, they were going on their way down to the locker room where they spoke to the team. And so Infantino was right behind him, and Peter Grusso was there. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Peter. But yeah, it was just a great night. And I think they're there to kind of take in all of, what could have been possible in Montreal prior to the World Cup, which we're not going to get to be a part of. But I think it was very much speaking to like the anticipation of the World Cup coming to Canada next year.
I'm surprised there wasn't heightened security. If a teenager could just approach within the space of the president, Gianni Infantino, Forget Mark Carney for a
That's-
second, yeah.
Well, that's
But
what I'd
you
be
think-
worried about.
Yeah, exactly, right? Thought it'd be
It was
like
so
just
funny.
guys with dark glasses and little buds in their ears, all around Gianni. Forget Carney for a second. Yeah. Remember, I was at where was it? Was it? You're doing World Cup qualifying. Trying to think where it was. Edmonton, I think it was. Yeah, Edmonton. And Justin Trudeau, our then Prime Minister, came to a training session, and I was amazed by how he just like walked in like a regular dude, and like there was security, but it wasn't obvious. I'm sure they were everywhere, but I was like, wow, this guy's actually quite approachable compared
I
to.
wonder, was it a late shout that he was going? Like, I don't think it wasn't publicized, right? So
Right.
maybe that's a big factor too. But
Yeah.
did you notice any security?
I mean, there was more security. So if you're familiar with Stade Saputo and that north side where you've got like the concourse on the inside on the back end of the press gallery, there's like a VIP entrance that's kind of, it's set up almost lined up with the halfway stripe if you got to go up the way on the north side. And that's all streamlined there. And so at halftime, when Jackie and I were back there just looking to go to the bathroom and maybe go get a drink or something, we saw all of the SUVs with the tinted windows and everything. And so Jack was like, Ma, like, and he knew too, because I think it was Shanetti and some other people had tweeted about the fact that Carney and Infantino were going to be there. And then, of course, it was like the photo op where it was Joey Saputo right in the middle, and then he had Infantino on his right, and he had Carney on his left.
Yeah, Joey showed up. Nice.
Yep.
They got a lot of camera time during the game as well. There's one great shot of Gianni, Joey, and Carney in the front row yapping away, and then in the background, Peter Montopoli, who runs FIFA Canada, sat down with a big old glass of red wine. These guys just enjoying themselves. They've done a lot of hard work the last couple of years, right? It's like now at least we can just sit back, have a bit of a good time, get some camera time. Wonder what kind of wine it was. Looked a big goblet. Got decent.
Jug.
Yeah, you think it was quality? It was at least.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like the stuff you bought at the concession stands.
Matus.
Matus.
A big glass of Matus.
Dubs, any other takeaways you had from that match looking forward? Or we covered it all?
No, just I think that obviously you want to win at this point. But I think just projecting forward, I think I've said all I needed to say about the kind of the way that it ended up and the performance versus Australia. But looking forward to Colombia, obviously I think our expectations should be measured, especially given the way that they dispatched of Mexico. But you look at this team under Jesse Marsch, even that baptism by fire that they had to kind of open up the Jesse Marsch era versus France and the Netherlands, right? This is a team that's done quite well, and they've matured and they've improved, and there's an understanding of the philosophy of play and how they all interrelate on the pitch since then. So I think it would be fair to say, that we can go into this match and not maybe expect a win, but I think expect a good performance and expect good things from this team. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do.
Yeah,
it's not such a bad thing, what happened against Australia long term. I mean, it's one of those situations where, it's a bit of a wake up call for us. It's like you created lots of opportunities, but we didn't take them. Let's take that into hand and make sure that we don't do that, because we do that at the World Cup. With only 3 games in the group stage, it can be massive. And
that was part of my comment about the some of the newer fans clearly on social media. People saying Australia aren't even good. And this kind of stuff. Like, no, they actually are. They're pretty good. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We're still very much a work in progress here in Canada, despite, what a lot of people might be saying. And we should be looking forward to a successful World Cup. But Australia have won 12 straight games, and they're 25th in the world. They didn't happen by accident. I don't care what region they play in. They play in the Asian qualifying region, by the way, which is pretty good. So, just there's that little naivety. Not with everyone, but with some. But I think Dubs will get most hatred from this podcast today just for her support of the Liberal Party.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear from you all, everybody. Actually, I just wanted to add one more thing, like going back to our conversation about where Fonzie is best utilized, where he's best deployed. And I don't know what the answer is to that. But I will say, if you look at somebody like Ali Ahmed and his trajectory, the way that his game and his stock is rising, there's a maturity about his game that is lacking when we see Fonzie playing in a more advanced position. Yep. And that is to Ahmed's credit. And that's something that I think I'm a little bit concerned about as Fonzie's return to play gets closer and closer to his arrival with the national team, that he might have too much to prove, despite the fact that his name only will get him anywhere on the pitch, right? Because he's our best player. I mean, I think at this point, is it John David? Is it Fonzie? I think it's still Fonzie, just in terms of the clout that name carries. But
For sure.
where can he be most effective, most impactful for our men's national team? And I think I think it is. And yep.
And sorry to interrupt, but and I hate the thought of Richie not being in the starting 11 because I love the guy, and he certainly won't hurt you. But I don't see a scenario where everyone's healthy and Richie's starting that first game. I don't.
Good point.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That means we've got depth.
Yeah.
This is what every other real footballing nation toil and torture themselves about before every big tournament. Yeah, but if we're playing so-and-so, where's so-and-so playing? Well, he's not.
Yeah.
What a nice option to have sitting on the bench, right?
It is a nice option because he can play just about anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can. Both sides. Up the pitch. You know, he's the guy. He's the first guy in. Mr. Versatility. And it's rare that everyone's healthy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Richie's going to get plenty of minutes at the World Cup in whatever position it is. But all being right and healthy, there's no way Alphonso Davies shouldn't start at left back.
I would agree with that. And we got to remember, I mean, he's one of the fastest players on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think
he
of that
gets himself out of trouble.
I was thinking that a little bit, Craig, during the match against Australia. Just if when the good moments when Canada's playing very well, like just throw Alphonso Davies in that 11. Like, oh, suddenly that's taken into a new level with what he can do. Let's start focusing on what Fonzie can't do and what he can do.
Yeah.
Let's play Champions League finals for Bayern Munich in the left back position.
Yeah.
Don't forget, people, he's rather good.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? I mean, since Thanksgiving Monday, let's not go long today. I know we got some on the spots, but we can save them for later in the week after the match tomorrow. Anything else you want to touch on?
Whitecaps.
Oh, you know what you mentioned? Sorry, I'm interrupting too much today. You know, you're kind of freezing a bit today, Dubs. It might be my internet. I'm not sure, but you keep freezing.
I think it's
and
your
jumping
internet.
in. Is it
No,
mine?
it's Dubs.
Is
It's
it?
me?
Yeah.
It's not. Your sound is perfect, but every
Like
once
your
in a while,
mouse-
it's like
And I jump in there, and then you talk. Yeah. So forgive
Oh,
me.
geez, sorry.
Although
On my
usually I'm
end,
apologizing.
on my end, you're the one freezing occasionally, Sharms, wherein then
yeah?
it's not matching. Like you're talking, but it's not matching up with your face and your mouth. But I
Oh,
guess
that could be my epilepsy.
Do you smell burnt toast?
As a matter of fact, I do.
Actually.
For breakfast. I really. Hey, is toast on? Please say yes.
Please, God.
Bacon sizzling on the floor in no time. Vancouver.
How
FC
good was that?
in the Champions Cup for next year. It's amazing, Craig.
Yeah.
How
And it's
pissed off is Ottawa feeling right now?
Right. And how Vancouver FC have now slipped into a spot as well. Bottom of the CPL. And they're going to get into the CONCACAF champions. Like that's quite a story as well. But
It's amazing. I love it.
yeah. How about the Whitecaps? So I mean, did you see that Mueller goal? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is
97th
just
minute, was it? Yeah.
different level.
Yeah.
Like he does things so quickly, and he's not a small man. Like his feet are incredible still, and they just drop off. Like literally, there was 3 guys drop off a yard, not even, and he gets a shot off with power, bottom corner. Surprised the goalkeeper, everybody. Just different class. They're a pleasure to watch that team.
He's not a guy that you look at and say, man, there's a specimen. Wow. He looks like a regular dude, but he has that ability, that body, just something about him, the way he moves around the pitch.
Yeah.
He floats.
Yeah.
And just fantastic.
I
I'm
think
so
he's got
excited
that-
about the next few weeks for
I know, eh? And I think he brings that calming sort of influence as well. That we'll be okay, and just follow my lead. In everything. I mean, and when him smiling when he shows up at the game, smiling during the game, it all affects the team. And with his quality, he's raising everybody else up. They're trying to play at that same level, and they're doing it.
When you're targeting an aging, perhaps over the hill European superstar as your DP, that's the kind of guy you want.
Exactly.
Massive impact in all facets of that club. That's a guy you want.
You're setting me up wonderfully here. Tom Bogart tweeted this. So Mueller for the Vancouver Whitecaps in all comps, 7 goals, 4 assists, 532 minutes or 48 minutes per goal contribution. Since his debut, the Whitecaps are 10 games unbeaten, including winning 4th straight Canadian championship. What a signing. It's pretty unbelievable.
Well said, Tom Bogart. Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's some penalties in there, Dubs. There's some penalties.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, there is.
But if I could loop that back to what you're saying, Forrest, about having a guy like that where it imbues the quality, but also like that, the intangible of the confidence and the unwavering belief in your ability to get something done in like the dying minutes of a game at the death where there's a calmness. That's what Canada needs. So you put away some of those opportunities, those chances. Schaffelberg in the 90th minute, that goes in. Then all of a sudden that's built into the foundation of the team and you can build on that as you look forward to the World Cup. So that's why these friendlies, it's the learnings that you're going to take away despite the loss, but sometimes it's getting it done despite a bad performance or despite earlier misses, and you still have the belief that you're going to put it away when it matters. That's what Canada has to start to do.
How to close out a match is a lot easier than how to close out a podcast. I'll tell you that much. We've got to work on that.
Especially with shitty internet.
Yeah, exactly. Some of your freezings are kind of good, though. There's some great moments. Often your eyes are closed when you freeze.
Oh, awesome. Can't wait.
It's a soft lens.
And right there.
Smoky lens. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, Vaseline on the lens.